In the depths of a small village nestled within the vast savannas of Africa, there lived a man known by the name of Kwame. Kwame was unlike any other in his village. He shared his nights with a peculiar companion, a massive ancient python that slithered silently into his hut every midnight. The villagers often whispered about Kwame's unusual ritual. Some believed he was cursed, others thought he was blessed, and a few even speculated that he possessed mystical powers. But none dared to ask Kwame directly, fearing the sacred bond he seemed to share with the serpent. Kwame had first encountered the snake on a fateful night when the moon hung full and bright in the sky. He had been walking through the forest, collecting herbs near the sacred grove, when he stumbled upon the snake, injured and writhing in pain. Moved by a deep, unexplainable compassion, Kwame had carefully tended to the creature, using his knowledge of traditional medicine to heal its wounds. Since that night, the snake, whom Kwame affectionately called Sankofa, returned to him as the clock struck midnight. The villagers noticed that on the days following the snake's visit, Kwame's farm yielded the most bountiful harvests, and his health remained robust even during the worst outbreaks of disease that occasionally plagued the village. This midnight ritual continued undisturbed for many years, weaving a tapestry of mystery and awe around Kwame. But on one particularly serene night, something unprecedented occurred that altered the course of their shared destiny. As Kwame lay in the quiet embrace of sleep, a faint rustling at the entrance of his hut startled him awake. There, illuminated by the soft glow of the moonlight, was Sankofa, its scales shimmering with an ethereal light. However, tonight, Sankofa was not alone. Behind it, led by the gentle nudging of its tail, was a small, quivering hare, obviously offered as a gift. Kwame watched in amazement as Sankofa nudged the hare closer towards him. He knew this was no ordinary offering. It was a sacred pact, a symbol of trust and respect. Accepting the gift, Kwame prepared the hare, cooking it with herbs known to impart strength and protection. As he ate, Kwame felt a surge of energy coursing through his veins, a sensation he had never experienced before. That night, as Sankofa coiled peacefully at his side, Kwame dreamt of ancient days, of spirits walking the earth, and of his ancestors speaking in tongues of old, revealing secrets long forgotten. When dawn broke, Kwame awoke with a newfound understanding of his connection with Sankofa. He realized that their relationship was not merely one of mutual benefit, but one deeply rooted in the spiritual fabric of the land itself. From that night on, Kwame's status in the village began to change. The elders, who once viewed him with suspicion, now sought his advice on matters ranging from the trivial to the critical. With every passing night, the bond between man and snake deepened, revealing more of the mysteries that lay hidden beneath the ordinary surface of the world. And so, as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Kwame and Sankofa continued their nocturnal meetings, each night unraveling a new layer of the vast tapestry that connected their souls across the boundaries of nature and man. However, the peace and understanding that had come to define Kwame's existence were about to be challenged by forces beyond his comprehension, forces that would test the strength of his bond with Sankofa in ways he could never have anticipated. But that is a tale for another night. In the village where Kwame resided, his connection with Sankofa had become a symbol of enigmatic wisdom. This midnight alliance had not only fortified his own life, but also infused the entire community with a palpable sense of harmony and prosperity. Yet, as the seasons shifted, so too did the winds of fate, ushering in a series of events that would further entwine the destinies of man and serpent. One evening, as the sky painted itself with the deep hues of twilight, a stranger wandered into the village. Clad in robes that shimmered like the surface of a distant starlit lake, he brought with him an air of mystery and otherworldly grace. The villagers watched cautiously as he made his way directly to Kwame's hut, guided, it seemed, by some unseen force. Kwame greeted the stranger at the threshold of his humble abode, where the flicker of the oil lamp cast dancing shadows upon their faces. Without any preamble, the visitor spoke of visions that had led him across vast deserts and lush forests to this very spot. His name was Tahir, and he was a seeker of truths, one who had heard tales of a man who communed with the ancient spirits through the embrace of a serpent. Intrigued by Tahir's knowledge and respectful manner, Kwame invited him to stay the night, sensing an underlying purpose to this unexpected visit. As midnight approached, Tahir witnessed the silent entry of Sankofa into the hut, its presence commanding yet serene. The snake's eyes, reflecting the dim light, seemed to hold the wisdom of ages, and Tahir felt a profound respect wash over him. That night, as Sankofa coiled in its customary spot, Tahir shared stories of his travels, of the diverse cultures he had encountered, and of the universal search for connection with the divine. Kwame listened intently, finding echoes of his own experiences in Tahir's words. The conversation flowed like a river, meandering through topics sacred and profound, revealing the interconnectedness of their lives' paths. As dawn neared, a subtle understanding had taken root between the two men. Tahir, moved by the sanctity of what he had witnessed, proposed a venture that would require their combined efforts. Far to the north, he explained, lay a region plagued by unending drought and despair. The people there had once thrived, but now their land lay barren, their spirits broken. Tahir believed that the key to revitalizing the land lay in rekindling the people's connection with nature, a philosophy he saw embodied in Kwame's relationship with Sankofa. He suggested that perhaps together they could bring hope and renewal to this distant place. Kwame, though hesitant to leave the comfort of his village and the certainty of his bond with Sankofa, felt a stirring within his spirit, a call to extend the blessings of his unique companionship beyond the borders of his home. After a day of contemplation, Kwame agreed to join Tahir on this mission. But first, he sought the counsel of Sankofa. That night, under the watchful eyes of the stars, Kwame presented his dilemma to the python. The air vibrated with an unseen energy as he spoke, the words floating out on the night breeze. Sankofa, ever the enigmatic confidant, responded not with words, but with a simple action. It slithered closer to Kwame, resting its head gently against his leg, a gesture of support and assent. The message was clear. The bond they shared was not confined to this village. It was a force meant to flow outward, to heal and restore. With Sankofa's blessing, Kwame prepared for the journey ahead, his heart buoyed by the trust and approval of his ancient friend. As he packed his belongings, including the herbs and charms that had long been part of his mystical practices, Kwame felt a surge of anticipation. Together with Tahir, he was about to embark on a mission that could change the course of many lives, guided by the unseen threads of destiny that connected all beings. As the sun crested the horizon, casting long shadows over the land, Kwame and Tahir set forth. The village watched in silent awe, their hearts filled with pride and a touch of sorrow, knowing that Kwame's spirit, like the winds that shaped the savannah, was meant to roam and mend the broken places of the world. The path that Kwame and Tahir followed wound through landscapes that seemed to sing with the ancient tales of the earth. With each mile traversed, the land began to reveal its secrets, not only through the visual splendor of sprawling savannas and dense forests, but also through the whispered stories of the breeze and the sun's warm dialogues with the earth. As the duo ventured further from the familiar territories of Kwame's village, the lush greenery gradually gave way to arid expanses. Here the earth cracked open like a parched mouth, crying out for the caress of rain. The people of this region, their faces etched with the hardships of relentless drought, watched with weary eyes as the strangers approached. Kwame felt a deep stir within his soul as he met the gaze of these hardy souls. Their resilience mirrored the enduring nature of the landscapes they inhabited, yet there was a palpable sense of loss that hung heavily in the air. Tahir, ever attuned to the energies of his surroundings, suggested they rest in the village square, where the heart of the community pulsed quietly, awaiting revival. Gathering the villagers under the scant shade of a lone baobab tree, Tahir introduced Kwame, speaking of his unique bond with nature and his success in harmonizing the forces of life in his homeland. The villagers listened, skepticism and hope intermingling in their expressions. Kwame then stepped forward, his presence commanding yet gentle, as he shared his story of Sankofa, the python that had become both protector and ally. Inspired by the narrative and moved by the sincerity of Kwame's words, the village elder, a woman of great age and wisdom named Ayo, spoke up. Her voice, though frail, carried the weight of many generations. She recounted how long ago their people had thrived in harmony with the land and the wildlife. However, over time, forgotten conflicts and hardships had severed their deep ties to the natural world, leading to their current plight. With the guidance of Kwame and Tahir, a plan began to form, a rekindling of forgotten practices, a restoration of ancient balances. Kwame proposed a series of rituals that would involve the entire community, rites that would draw upon the collective energies of the people and their desire to see their lands flourish once again. The first ritual was held as the moon climbed into the night sky, round and luminous. The villagers gathered, forming a circle around a fire that crackled with vitality. Kwame led them in chants that rose and fell with the rhythms of the earth, their voices weaving a tapestry of sound that filled the air with power and promise. As the days passed, Kwame and Tahir worked alongside the villagers, blending traditional agricultural wisdom with the spiritual insights Kwame had garnered from his connection with Sankofa. Slowly, the land began to respond. Sprouts of green pierced the dry earth, a testament to the rebirth taking place both in the soil and in the hearts of the people. One evening, as Kwame sat beneath the baobab, reflecting on the transformations unfolding before his eyes, a small child approached him. Her hand, tiny and hesitant, slipped into his, and she whispered a question of whether the snake from his stories would ever visit their village. Kwame smiled, feeling the gentle tug of Sankofa's spirit in his heart, affirming the boundless nature of their connection. In this moment, under the vast canopy of stars, Kwame realized that his role was not merely to bring change, but to ignite a spark that each person could carry forward. It was not about altering the landscape of the land alone, but transforming the spiritual landscape of the community. As the project neared its completion, the greenery around them stood a bit taller, a vibrant testament to the resilience and renewed spirit of the village. Kwame and Tahir observed, their hearts full, knowing that the seeds of change had been planted, ready to grow with the nurturing hands of those who called this place home. In the days that followed the initial rituals, a tangible shift enveloped the community. Where despair once lingered, hope now took root, sprouting from the soil and the souls of the villagers alike. Kwame and Tahir, observing the subtle yet profound changes, prepared for a deeper engagement with the natural elements that governed life in this arid region. On a morning cooled by a gentle breeze, the villagers assembled to witness a ceremony designed to strengthen their newly rekindled bond with the land. Kwame, standing before them, adorned in a robe woven with symbols of the earth and sky, spoke of the unity of all life forms. His words flowed like water, nourishing the parched hearts of his listeners. With Tahir's guidance, they began constructing a series of stone altars around the village perimeter. These were not mere structures of rock, they were symbols of the community's dedication to balance and harmony. Each stone, selected and placed with intention, was infused with prayers for rain, fertility, and prosperity. As the project progressed, Kwame felt a deepening of his spiritual connection, not just to Sankofa, but to the very essence of the place that was slowly becoming a part of him. He taught the villagers chants and mantras that Sankofa had inspired, which they sang at dawn each day, their voices carrying across the vast open spaces to the heavens. The land responded. Clouds began to gather, pregnant with the promise of rain, their shadows a cool salve on the hot earth. When the first raindrops fell, the villagers danced and cheered, their movements a primal celebration of life's continuance. The rain soaked the ground, seeping into its cracks, awakening dormant seeds and coaxing roots to stretch and grow. During this time of collective effort and communal ritual, a young villager named Lila emerged as a keen apprentice to Kwame. Fascinated by his connection with Sankofa and his deep understanding of nature's rhythms, Lila spent long hours by Kwame's side, learning the subtleties of the herbs and the language of the winds. Lila's enthusiasm sparked a new flame in Kwame, reminding him of his initial days of discovery with Sankofa. He saw in her the future, a continuation of the knowledge and spiritual practices that could bridge generations. Under his tutelage, Lila began to experience her own connections with the natural world, her intuition sharpened by the teachings that Kwame imparted. Meanwhile, Tahir, witnessing the unfolding transformation, penned scrolls detailing the revival of the village. He wrote of the rituals, the changes in the land, and the people's reawakening to their ancestral heritage. These scrolls, he hoped, would serve as a beacon to other communities, sharing the message that reconnection with the earth and its creatures could heal even the deepest wounds. As the season of rains approached its zenith, the village had transformed into a verdant oasis. The crops flourished, fed by the nourishing rains and the care of revitalized hands. The stone altars stood as silent guardians, symbols of the village's resilience and their covenant with nature. One dusk, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with strokes of orange and purple, Kwame and Lila walked to the edge of the village. Here, the earth met the sky in a line so sharp it seemed to slice the world into two perfect halves. Lila, looking out towards the horizon, asked Kwame about Sankofa, about whether the python sensed the love and labor of the people from afar. Kwame, gazing into the fading light, felt the familiar serpentine pulse of connection in his heart. He knew that Sankofa, in its own mystical way, was aware and approving of the growth and renewal that had unfolded from their shared bond. As the stars began to dot the twilight canvas, Kwame and Lila returned to the village, their silhouettes blending into the evening mist. The village, now a beacon of green amid the brown, hummed with the vibrant energy of a community reborn, its heartbeat strong and steady beneath the watchful eyes of the night sky. As the season of abundance pressed on, the village not only thrived in its verdant splendor, but also in the strength of its renewed spirit. The winds that swept through the fields carried with them the laughter of children and the rhythmic chants of the elders, all harmonizing with the newfound vitality of the land. Kwame, with Lila often by his side, continued to foster the deep-seated connections between the villagers and their environment. Each morning, as the sun crested the eastern hills, the community gathered to perform rituals that celebrated the sacred bond between earth and sky. These rituals, once mere echoes of the past, had become vital expressions of the village's identity. During this time of profound connection and growth, an elder from a neighboring village arrived, drawn by tales of the miraculous revival. This elder, named Jabari, was a keeper of stories, his memory a living archive of the region's history. With a presence as commanding as the baobab under which he stood, Jabari shared with the community the ancient lore of their people, stories that had been scattered by the sands of time. Jabari spoke of times when the land was lush and the people were one with the beasts that roamed the wilds. He recounted tales where humans and animals communicated, understanding each other's needs and desires, living in a balance that was the foundation of their prosperity. These stories captivated the villagers, rekindling a sense of unity with the natural world that went beyond mere survival. Moved by Jabari's narratives, Kwame proposed the creation of a grove, a sacred space where the villagers could interact with the natural world in a manner that honored their ancestors' ways. This grove would be a place of learning, healing, and celebration, embodying the principles that had brought them back from the brink of despair. Under Kwame's guidance and with Jabari's historical insight, the villagers began to cultivate the grove. They planted trees known for their medicinal properties, herbs that whispered secrets of health and vitality, and flowers that colored the air with their fragrances. This garden became a living symbol of the village's rebirth, a tangible link to the lore Jabari had shared. As the grove took root, Lila emerged as its natural guardian. Her keen understanding of herbal lore and her intuitive connection with the land made her a beacon for those seeking knowledge and healing. Young and old alike came to her, learning how to harness the power of the earth for nourishment and medicine. One evening, as the sky turned a deep indigo and the first stars appeared, Kwame felt a stirring in his spirit. Drawn to the edge of the village where the wilds whispered in hushed tones, he sensed the presence of Sankofa. Though the python was not there in flesh, its spirit enveloped him, a reminder of the deep, unbreakable bonds that extended beyond physical presence. In that moment, Kwame understood that his role was not just to heal a land, but to weave a web of connections that would endure through generations. His teachings, and the rituals he had instilled in the community, were seeds that would bloom in the hearts of those who walked the grove, danced by the fire, and sang with the wind. Nights turned into days, and seasons shifted, each cycle strengthening the fabric of the village. The grove flourished, a testament to the village's resilience and its harmonious existence with the world around it. With each passing moon, the stories of the past and the teachings of the present melded into a living legacy, echoing through the savannah, carried on the winds that knew no boundaries. As the grove burgeoned under the tender care of the villagers, it became a sanctuary not only for them, but also for the wildlife that began to return to the area. Birds with vibrant plumage and calls as melodious as the children's laughter nested in the newly grown trees, while creatures once thought to have forsaken this place ventured cautiously back, sensing the change in the human spirit. Within this bloom of life, Kwame found his days filled with teaching and sharing the wisdom that Sankofa had imparted to him. Lila, ever eager, absorbed his teachings, her skills and understanding deepening, making her a revered figure not only in their village, but in neighboring ones as well. One day, a young man from a distant village approached the grove with a quiet curiosity that marked him as a seeker of knowledge. His name was Sefu, and he brought with him a tale of ailing lands beyond the hills, where people struggled as the village once had before its renewal. Sefu had heard of the transformation led by Kwame and Lila and wished to learn so he might help his own community find harmony with nature. Welcoming Sefu with open arms, Kwame and Lila began to share the principles of their success, respect for all life, the importance of ancient wisdom, and the practical aspects of their agricultural and spiritual practices. Sefu, a diligent student, took to the teachings with a fervor that reminded Kwame of his own early days with Sankofa. As the training progressed, Kwame observed Sefu's deepening connection to the grove and its inhabitants. It was as if the land itself was speaking through him, guiding him, acknowledging him as a new guardian. This sight stirred a sense of fulfillment in Kwame, a feeling akin to the nurturing rains that had first revived their own barren soils. Meanwhile, Lila took on the role of mentor with grace, guiding Sefu through the intricate dance of planting, the subtle nuances of herb harvesting, and the sacred chants that enlivened the soil. Under her guidance, Sefu learned to listen to the land, to understand its needs and offerings, and to respond with gentle hands and a respectful heart. The days Sefu spent in the grove were rich with learning, but they were also days of sharing and laughter, of stories told under the shade of the baobab, where wisdom was passed not as a duty, but as a gift of love. The community, witnessing Sefu's growth, began to see him as a symbol of their own potential to foster change beyond their borders, a living testament to the power of their teachings. One evening, as the sun set, casting long shadows over the grove, Kwame gathered the villagers to share in a celebration of the knowledge they had cultivated. It was a feast of gratitude, marked by music that resonated with the rhythms of the earth and stories that wove the past with the present. During the feast, Sefu stood and spoke of his journey to the grove, how the desperation of his people had driven him to seek help, and how he now carried within him the seeds of renewal, ready to be sown in his own land. His words, heartfelt and sincere, touched the villagers deeply, reinforcing their pride in the work they had undertaken. As the celebration continued into the night, the fire at the center of the gathering cast a warm glow, mirroring the bond that united them all. The stars overhead twinkled in approval, their light a gentle benediction on the work done and the journeys yet to begin. As the seasons cycled through their eternal dance, the grove stood as a testament to the resilience and unity of the village. The teachings of Kwame, now enriched and expanded by Lila's insights, continued to flourish, nurturing not just the land but the spirit of every individual who walked beneath the baobab's expansive shade. Sefu, now brimming with knowledge and a newfound confidence, prepared to return to his own community. His departure was marked by a ceremony rich with symbolism and heartfelt farewells. The villagers, each offering him small tokens of their gratitude and friendship, beads, herbs, and carved symbols, imbued these gifts with prayers for prosperity and peace. Before he left, Kwame took Sefu aside, handing him a small pouch containing earth from the grove. "Carry this with you," he said, "as a reminder of what can bloom from the barren, of what we are capable of when we unite in purpose and respect." Sefu accepted, his eyes reflecting the solemnity and significance of the gesture. Upon Seifu's arrival in his own village, the challenges were stark. The land was parched, much like Kwame's had been before the renewal. But armed with the teachings from the grove, Seifu began to work, his determination fueled by the transformative experiences he had lived. He started by gathering his people, sharing his learnings, and most importantly, telling the story of a village reborn, his narrative a beacon of hope. Back in Kwame's village, life continued in harmony with the natural world. But it was not just the local flora and fauna that thrived. The community had become a hub for learning, attracting visitors from across the region. They came seeking knowledge, hoping to replicate the success of the grove in their own lands. Kwame and Lila welcomed each visitor, their teachings spreading like the roots of the baobab, deep and wide. Amid this season of teaching and growth, a new visitor arrived, different from the others. Her name was Amina, a botanist intrigued by the stories of a village that had turned desolation into abundance. Amina was particularly interested in the role of traditional practices in sustainable agriculture, her scientific background providing a fresh perspective on the wisdom of the elders. Amina spent days with Lila, exploring the grove, learning about the properties of each plant and the ecological balance that had been achieved. In exchange, she shared her knowledge of modern botanical science, offering insights that complemented the traditional methods, suggesting new ways to enhance crop resilience and yield. This exchange of knowledge was fruitful, deepening the understanding on both sides. Kwame saw in this partnership a reflection of the grove's ethos, the blending of old and new, tradition and innovation, each enhancing the other. The villagers, initially wary of new techniques, soon witnessed the benefits as their crops flourished even more. Meanwhile, news from Sefu's village began to arrive, carried by travelers and traders. The first reports were of small successes, wells redug, lands retilled, and the first green shoots breaking through the dry soil. Each message buoyed the spirits of Kwame's village, reinforcing their commitment to their mission of spreading hope and renewal. As the moon waned and grew full again, a grand gathering was planned in the grove, a festival to celebrate the bonds between all those who had shared in the grove's bounty and wisdom. The festival would not only honor the earth and its abundance, but also the spirit of community and the shared journey of all who had contributed to the revival of the land. The anticipation for the grand festival rippled through the village like a fresh breeze, stirring excitement and a sense of pride among the inhabitants. The event was envisioned as a celebration of unity and the sharing of wisdom, drawing people not only from nearby villages, but from distant lands, all touched by the stories of transformation that had emanated from this once barren land. Preparations for the festival were meticulous and infused with joy. Kwame, Lila, and the village elders planned every detail to reflect the spirit of the community and the natural world that sustained them. Banners woven from vibrant local fibers adorned the pathways, each fluttering piece telling a story of growth, challenge, and triumph. Artisans crafted sculptures and pottery, imbuing each creation with elements of the local flora and fauna, symbolizing the harmony achieved between the village and its natural surroundings. Musicians practiced melodies that mimicked the sounds of the grove, whistling winds, rustling leaves, and the gentle flow of the river, turning the air itself into music. As the day of the festival dawned, the sky painted itself in brilliant hues of orange and pink, a perfect canopy under which the celebrations would unfold. Visitors were greeted with garlands of flowers and herbs, each carrying symbolic meanings of friendship and respect. The scent of cooking fires blended with the earthy aroma of the grove, creating a welcoming atmosphere that invited all to partake freely. Kwame opened the festival with a speech that wove the past with the present, his words resonating with the deep timbre of the earth itself. He spoke of the resilience of the human spirit and the boundless generosity of the earth, calling upon each person to remember these truths and carry them forward. Lila led a tour of the grove, explaining the ecological strategies employed to revive the land. Her voice, calm and clear, was a testament to the confidence and knowledge she had gained under Kwame's mentorship. Visitors listened intently, inspired by the tangible results of the village's efforts, evident in the lush greenery that surrounded them. Amina, the botanist, hosted a workshop on sustainable agriculture techniques that integrated traditional knowledge with scientific approaches. Her session was a bridge between worlds, attended by young and old, each eager to learn how they could apply these practices in their own communities. As the sun reached its zenith, the festival shifted to celebration mode, with dance performances that told stories of the earth, water, fire, and air, elements central to the community's beliefs and practices. Dancers moved with grace and power, their bodies echoing the cycles of nature, captivating the audience with their storytelling. The highlight of the festival was a communal meal, where dishes prepared from the grove's bounty were shared. This feast was not just about nourishment, but about the sharing of blessings and the strengthening of communal bonds. Each bite was a reminder of the land's fertility and the collective effort required to maintain it. As evening fell, a large bonfire was lit in the center of the village. The community and their guests gathered around, sharing stories and songs under the starlit sky. The fire's crackle and the chorus of voices created a tapestry of sound and light, a celebration of collective endurance and hope. The festival ended with a silent vigil for the earth, where everyone gathered in a circle, holding hands, their thoughts turned towards gratitude and the future. This moment of quiet solidarity was a powerful reminder of the journey shared by all who had come together, reflecting on the paths taken and those that lay ahead. As the embers of the festival's bonfire turned to ash, signaling the end of the celebrations, the air remained charged with an energy of renewal and connection. The festival had not only been a showcase of the village's revival, but also a fertile ground for the exchange of ideas and the strengthening of alliances. The participants, each carrying a spark of the shared experience, prepared to weave these threads into the fabric of their own communities. In the days following the festival, the village returned to its routine, yet the routine was now imbued with a new vibrancy. The success of the event had brought a renewed sense of purpose and a recognition of the village's role as a beacon of sustainable living and ancient wisdom. Kwame found himself reflecting on the paths that had led him here. The grove, thriving and alive with both plant and animal life, was a testament to the possibility of rebirth through respect and understanding. He often walked its paths in the early morning, feeling the cool dampness of the dew underfoot, a reminder of nature's cycles and balances. Lila, energized by the festival's success, took on more responsibilities, her role as a guardian of the grove now recognized and revered by all who had attended the festival. Her mornings were spent in the cultivation of new plots, each plant chosen for its role in the ecological and spiritual health of the community. Meanwhile, Amina continued her collaboration with the village, her scientific expertise blending seamlessly with the traditional practices. Together with Lila, they embarked on a project to document the species of the grove, detailing their uses and the lore associated with each. This compendium was envisioned as a bridge between the old and the new, a resource that could be shared far beyond the village borders. News from Sefu's village began to arrive with more frequency, each message a chapter of success and struggle. Under Sefu's guidance, his community had begun to implement the techniques learned from Kwame's village. There were challenges, of course, old habits to be unlearned, skepticism to be overcome, but the green shoots of change were undeniable. Inspired by these reports, Kwame decided to establish a series of workshops, inviting leaders from various communities to come and learn the principles that had transformed his village. These workshops, held under the spreading limbs of the baobab tree, became forums for sharing knowledge and experiences, each session drawing a larger audience than the last. As the workshops grew in popularity, so did the reputation of Kwame's village as a center of ecological and spiritual rejuvenation. Visitors left with seeds, both literal and metaphorical, planted in their minds and hearts, ready to cultivate change in their own lands. One crisp morning, as the village was bathed in the soft light of dawn, a group of young villagers approached Kwame with a proposal. They wanted to create a traveling troupe, a group that would tour the region, sharing the stories and teachings of the grove through music, dance, and storytelling. Kwame listened, his heart swelling with pride at the initiative and foresight of the youth. This troupe would be another thread in the tapestry of their outreach, a moving celebration of what their community had achieved, and a living invitation to others to join in the dance of renewal. Kwame gave his blessing, and preparations began in earnest, the excitement and creative energy of the troupe palpable as they rehearsed and refined their performances. As the season turned, the troupe set out, their carts laden with instruments, costumes, and the vibrant spirit of the village. Their departure was marked by cheers and well wishes, the community gathering to send them off with blessings and songs. The traveling troupe, carrying the essence of Kwame's village, moved through the region like a river nourishing the land. Each village they visited became a canvas for their vibrant performances, their songs and dances, painting stories of renewal, resilience, and the sacred bond between humans and nature. The troupe's arrival in each new village was met with curiosity and anticipation. Their performances began with a simple drumbeat, a heartbeat of the earth, gradually building into a symphony of movement and music that captivated audiences. Stories of Kwame, Lila, and the Grove were told through these performances, illustrating the power of unity and respect for the natural world. One evening, as the troupe performed under a canopy of stars in a village suffering from a prolonged drought, something miraculous occurred. The villagers, inspired by the tales of transformation, joined hands with the troupe in a circle around a bonfire. Together, they sang songs of hope and renewal, their voices rising to the heavens. As the last notes faded into the night, clouds gathered, and rain began to fall, soaking the parched earth. It was a powerful reminder of the interconnectedness of spirit and nature. Word of the troupe's success spread quickly. Villages that had been struggling with their own challenges sought their performances, hoping to capture a spark of the magic that seemed to follow them. The troupe's journey became a beacon of hope, a testament to what could be achieved through collective effort and a deep connection to the earth. Back in Kwame's village, life continued to flourish. The workshops under the baobab tree remained a hub of learning and exchange, attracting scholars, farmers, and spiritual leaders from far and wide. Each visitor carried away with them a piece of the village's wisdom, planting seeds of change in their own lands. One afternoon, as Kwame and Lila walked through the grove, they were met by a messenger from Sefu's village. He brought with him news of great progress. Sefu's community had not only revived their land, but had also begun to teach neighboring villages the principles they had learned. The ripple effect of Kwame's teachings was now spreading across the region, a testament to the enduring power of shared knowledge and unity. As the seasons turned, the traveling troupe returned to their home village, bringing with them stories of their own adventures and the countless lives they had touched. Their performances had not only entertained, but had also educated and inspired, leaving a lasting legacy in each place they visited. A grand celebration was planned to welcome the troupe back and to mark the culmination of their journey. The festival was even more vibrant than before, a testament to the growth and resilience of the community. Visitors from all the villages touched by the troupe's performances came to join the festivities, creating a tapestry of cultures and experiences woven together by the common thread of renewal. Kwame, now an elder, stood at the center of the gathering, his heart full as he looked upon the thriving community. Lila, by his side, was a symbol of the future, strong, wise, and deeply connected to the land. Amina, Seifu, and the members of the traveling troupe all shared their stories, each one a chapter in the ongoing tale of transformation. As the festival reached its peak, Kwame addressed the gathered crowd. His voice, though aged, was strong and resonant. He spoke of the journey they had all undertaken, the lessons learned, and the hope that had been rekindled. He reminded everyone that the work was never truly finished, that each season brought new challenges and opportunities for growth, and that the bond between humanity and the earth was a sacred one that must be nurtured continuously. Under the starlit sky, the festival turned into a night of song, dance, and shared stories. The fire at the center of the village burned brightly, a symbol of the light that had guided them through their darkest times and the warmth that would sustain them into the future. As dawn approached, the village quieted and a serene peace settled over the land. The grove, the heart of their community, stood as a living testament to their journey, a place where the past, present, and future intertwined in a dance of life. In the hearts of all who had been touched by Kwame's teachings, the seeds of renewal and respect for nature would continue to grow, ensuring that the legacy of the village would endure for generations to come.